Okay, we're ready to go, Melissa? Here we go. Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Deb Coviello, Program Chair for ASQ Cincinnati, and I am grateful to be able to bring some amazing people to you to bring their insights, their case studies, their perspectives, because we know as quality professionals, we do the work that's necessary to ensure product integrity, safety, and preserving the brand. But sometimes it's challenging, and we sometimes need to be able to get input from other people or other areas to make our job so much easier. So one of the things, the title of this thing or this theme we're doing today is about setting up the compliance initiatives through strategic partners. And we're so talented ourselves. We know how to do these different things. But I want to give you an external perspective about a set of individuals who also sees the needs to do this noble work and have found gaps in the industry on how it's been done. And they want to provide solutions on how better to actually bring this forward. And so I'm grateful to bring to you Diane Pryde, Cherene, and Paul, who are going to talk to you about their services. And so what I will do is just briefly introduce them. I happen to know them. I'm grateful. I've had a couple of them on my podcast full of insight, but I'll kick it off with Diane Pryde, who is the president and CEO of the StepUp Solutions Services, and has worked in various leadership positions throughout the years in management systems and product certifications, extensive knowledge in marketing, sales, and operations, various executive leadership positions. But what really is at the core of what Diane does is she truly values what we can do to bring value to our customers, hence why she formed the organization. They are also joined in my first time meeting Cherene Amos, who is also the Senior Vice President of Operations, COO for the company, with, again, extensive knowledge in management systems and product certifications, has had various executive roles and certification, training, and various industries, especially in food safety and others. And she, too, prides herself in making sure that we have an excellent customer experience, far more than just the compliance work. And I am finally grateful to bring Paul again onto a platform who I know dearly, who is also the Chief Commercial Operations Officer and has worked in various senior executive roles, again, in management systems and certification across many industries. And he has also been in global leadership positions for global certification bodies. And he too, amidst all of his background, is also committed to the ongoing success of customers as well as the end consumer. So it is my pleasure, Diane, Cherene, Paul, to welcome you to ASQ Cincinnati.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure to be here, Deb.
Yeah, so they're going to kick it off. They have some content that really addresses what they see as the opportunity for the valuable work that we as quality professionals do. And then after they go through this, though, please put in your comments or questions. We're going to go into a panel discussion to go a little bit deeper into their content. But you as well, we want everybody to engage in this experience. And so with that, I will hand it off to StepUp Service Solutions.
Thank you, Deb. Yeah. Okay. Hello, I'm Diane, and thanks for that nice introduction, Deb. That was amazing. So tonight we just want to talk to you a little bit about, our business, our strategy, how we work with our strategic partners, and why we do that. And I think, hopefully, we can share with you some of the benefits that we've seen from those relationships, and we'll continue to do so. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about a company overview, and that's with me, and I promise you I'll be short. I won't bore you all to tears. And we'll talk about our partners and our clients who we currently work with, and it's just a sample of that. Our partnerships and why we have formed specific partnerships, and what that can do for our clients, and why we've gone in that direction. The benefits of that to our customers, their frameworks and advantage. And, just lost the agenda. It disappeared. I'm sorry. And then a little bit overview about our services. And again, we promise we'll be short, but just to give you a context of what it is that we're bringing to our clients and our approach, and why we see the benefits of that, and even share with you perhaps some case studies of how that has helped our customers be successful in their markets. So with that, Paul, I'll just, yeah. So StepUp Solution Services, we formed the company in November of 2020, but officially we launched in April of 2021. So we're a fairly new organization. We came together as a team. We worked together for many, many years, with Paul over 20, with Cherene 15 years. And we all had the same passion about believing and helping our clients and being supportive with them. We work for certification bodies. So all of you, I'm sure, are completely familiar with the certification bodies, the rules, the regulations, the must-dos, the shalls. And we were bound by that for many years. I personally worked with 3 of the leading certification bodies in North America, and Paul worked with 2 with Paul, and the last one with Cherene. So we're completely familiar with probably most of your worlds and the challenges that you have. When we left the business, and each of us for different reasons decided to take a step aside, I really felt that it was time to look at our clients from the other side and say, well, how can we actually help you? Because for so many years it was, well, we come and do your audit and here's your non-conformances and see you next year, as opposed to really working with the clients and saying, well, what is it that you need and how can we help you be more successful? Not just to pass your audit. Yeah, that's a given. We all know that. But really how to reach your company objectives and how to really be successful in your markets. So that was our business strategy when we got going, and we have kept to that. We made the strategic decision internally not to become a certification body, and that was a good choice for us, and we will continue to go in that direction. So Paul, next slide. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about strategic partnerships, and so this is some of them, and Paul will go into a lot of detail tonight about each of these and why we chose these organizations to partner with and the benefits they bring. But before we get into the detail of that, I really do want to talk about our most important strategic partners, and they are our consultants and advisors. So again, as part of our business strategy, we made the decision not to hire consultants and instructors and advisors. And the reason for that is they become stale really quickly. So when a customer reaches out to us and they need our support, we want to bring practitioners in the field. We want to bring leading edge technology, knowledge, and people who have been doing this for many, many years and helped many clients. So our first step into this, when Cherene and I initially kicked it off, was to really build that network of strategic partners who could really help our clients. And there's many reasons for that as well, because we could stretch across all of North America. We could expand our global reach, and really not just in geographical terms, but in technical terms as well, because many of our clients have completely different needs. They may have a stressful situation with staff, or they may have a customer problem, or they're just desperately trying to get through their next audit. And it really is a variety. So for us, it's really critical that we have a network of technical consultants who are practitioners and leaders in their field. And today we have over 65 of those on our team. And it is a fantastic model. They're very committed to us. They understand our policies. They understand our approach into the market. And I would say, before Paul gets into some of the other organizations that we've partnered with, I wanted to mention that, because without our partners who deliver our services, we wouldn't exist. And Cherene, she's a master at that. She sources these advisors and technical experts, but also our network. I've personally been in the industry for over 25 years, and we have an enormous network. on the client side, but also on the auditors, consultants, advisors, and instructors. So I just wanted to mention that, but this is just a sample of some of our partners. As I say, I won't dwell on it because Paul is going to go into a little bit more detail. Paul, next slide. Okay, here's just a sample of some of our clients. And you can see it's fairly diverse and some very large brands that we're particularly proud of. And what we offer these clients, so we really, our services include management systems. So, the core business, quality, environment, health and safety. We can, and then as well as food safety, which a lot of food safety incorporates quality management as a base to it, as do all management systems. And so we offer the whole range. And so our clients are very diverse. And it's one of the reasons that we require as many consultants and advisors, because whatever the client's needs are, we will ensure that we're going to deliver to them the technical leaders in their field, and really not just technically a good fit, but in terms of the cultural fit, which is just as important these days. You've got to really engage with your clients to do a good job. So this is just a sample of some of our clients, and we're particularly proud of these brand names, considering our organization is fairly young, about a year and a half now. So yeah. Okay, Paul?
So that's it, Di. Do you want to tee this up at all, or do you want me to jump right in?
Happy to pass it over to my partner, Paul,
All
and he'll give you some of the more interesting things.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but thank you very much, Diane and Deb and the entire team here at ASQ. It's great to spend some time and be here. Our partner, Cherene, who you all see here, is actually come down with a case of the flu. So we're not letting her talk tonight because we want her to get better soon. But, as Diane mentioned, we've really always been passionate about the work that we do with our customers. And whenever we get the chance to speak to industry experts and spend time with everyone discussing how we can make the business and the industry better, we'll, absolutely always jump at the chance. Today, we're going to have the opportunity to speak a little bit about, stepping up your compliance program through using strategic alliances and partnerships. And we're certainly excited to build a strategic alliance here again with ASQ. You may or may not be aware, but Diane, myself, and Cherene were longtime members of the ASQ Toronto chapter. So to us, it almost feels a little bit like a coming home party. And my main contact over there over the years was Elizabeth McBride, who I believe is still currently the Deputy Regional Director here in Canada anyway. So I was actually talking to Elizabeth just the other day. So let's talk a little bit about strategic partnerships. During my time working in the certification world, for at least 9 of those years, that's all I did was work with our strategic accounts and corporate accounts and work to sort of build those globally for us. So I want to talk a little bit today about what are they, why do we do them, are they important in business, can they help you step up your compliance game at your work? And I think, about how we begin with this conversation is, what does a strategic partnership actually mean? And I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but it's when 2 organizations come together to, build a relationship that usually has overlapping or complementary products and services that are looking to really achieve mutual benefit. So the strategic partnerships, they're also commonly referred to as an alliance or sometimes a joint venture. Another way to look at it is when 2 forces combine to expand their brand and reach. So that's the what. Now, I guess the why is pretty much why we're here today. And, if anyone can in the audience, feel free to speak up, but maybe give me an example of, why we would build strategic partnerships or alliances in business. And really, I think the first one is because we want to provide a competitive edge for our business. These partnerships will usually have a mutual promise of, working for the betterment of each other's organization. It's usually a genuine effort made to help other people in the business, and it can really help overcome particular weaknesses that you may have, and in some cases be pioneers in specific fields, like some of the relationships that we have today. But really, strategic partnerships are nothing new. Companies have been working together for mutual benefit for eons, and generally doing it to have a more profitable future. Just a couple of examples that come to mind when I talk about a strategic partnership that we can reference would be Spotify and Uber. They came together, and although the music streaming service doesn't really have much in common with the ride-sharing app, they partnered to give the Uber riders a chance to control each other's music with Spotify. And then that allowed Spotify to provide a unique service in the industry and in the marketplace while offering riders a chance to listen to their own playlists. So that was pretty cool. Another one that I think is interesting is Sherwin-Williams and the Pottery Barn. The strategic partnership for them benefited both the organizations by appealing to the customers looking to improve projects. On the Pottery Barn's website, still today, you can coordinate with Sherwin-Williams paint colors and the available Pottery Barn furniture pieces, etc. They also, I think, have a joint blog together that they're doing. Another one, McDonald's and Coca-Cola, Ford and Eddie Bauer. There's a lot of different ones that you could use as an example. But when you're co-branding opportunities, that adds value to your company. It increases your brand awareness. It can also create brand trust for you. And some companies may not even, seem to have much in common, but sometimes the best strategic partnerships find creative ways to expand the audience and enter new markets. So, now does a strategic partnership or alliance just have to be with two companies? Could it be with two people? Sure. Could it be with internal departments at your company? Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure many of you work with colleagues across your company. Diane and Cherene and myself are very familiar with the integration of management systems like Quality 9001, 14001 as an example. And that, I think, is really the point here today that I'm hoping that we'll get across, is that when we talk about stepping up your compliance initiatives through strategic partnerships, it really starts with you and how you see the business. So let's chat about some of the benefits. Deb talked a little earlier about some of the benefits. Does anybody have any thoughts on how a strategic partnership could potentially benefit you as a company? Maybe I'll just kind of put everybody on the spot here.
I'll jump in. I mean, for me, all I'm thinking here is this is a one-stop shop. I mean, on the surface level, if I have multiple needs, I need education, auditing, I need certification, I need tools. I mean, I've got a trusted service for one-stop shop because it's lonely as a quality leader. Where do I go? Who knows who? And you have to duct tape it together, all the different things that you need. But it would be helpful if ways of working, you've got your consultants, they know what the certifying bodies need, they know how the tools work. If they have these alliances that whatever advice or consultancy or implementation they write, there's some alignment and connectivity that you're not saying, well, that's what they told me to do, and now you're asking for that. It can make things easier, I think.
No, that's exactly right. Absolutely. Anybody else? Don't be shy. Well,
Get them going soon.
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I know. I mean, one of the benefits on how strategic partnerships can benefit you, and one of the reasons that we went after so many at StepUp was because it gives us access to new customers. A strategic partnership means accessing different new customers, and embedded is the opportunity for free advertisement, if you think about it, and branding is always a good thing. So when you pair that with another business, you're going to be able to reach their clients as well, which can be an effective marketing strategy that allows you to expand your reach and sometimes even double your clientele. And there's really almost no reason, I think, for the other company to turn down your business if it's strong enough. For example, Starbucks has no reason to decline Google's free attempt to secure some marketing, because Starbucks in this case would benefit just as much. or the most important part of developing a business is widening your reach in the public. And the more people that see your product in the area that they frequent, the more they're going to find your product elsewhere. Another opportunity would be reaching new markets. So along with extending, or having an extended reach into a wider variety of customers, your brands now expand across different horizons that maybe were previously unexplored. And if you consider the example of Google and Starbucks, if you were an associate to a company with coffee, excuse me, you may not have thought of Google. However, after that partnership, internet and coffee just makes a lot more sense, and people do it every single day. So with that relationship established, similar opportunities to this could really arise for both companies. And Google is, widely popular that this kind of publicity isn't really necessary. However, for a startup company like ourselves, a partnership like this is an incredible opportunity. And if your business has a chance to explore new opportunities, why wouldn't you absolutely go after them? Because it can benefit both parties. I guess the next one would be added value for your current customers or potential customers. So that is certainly a benefit to a strategic partnership, is the value that you can bring to your loyal customers or returning customers. If you're reaching customers during a growth period, that can help solidify loyalty for you. You want to show your returning customers that you care and encourage. One of the most powerful marketing tools is certainly word of mouth. So customers who hear positive comments about your business are going to tell their friends about it. And you want to have happy customers who are going to be out there promoting your services. And I think by establishing roots with other companies, both internal and external, you're going to increase the chance that, you're going to pick up on some of these, people who are going to spread the word for you. Number 4, in my mind, is brand awareness. Certainly an important result of a partnership is the construction and increase of brand awareness. And I think the most crucial thing that you can do for your business, or especially if you're a small business, is getting out there and letting people know who you are. So when you partner with other organizations or different influencers, there's more chances for people to be exposed to your company, your logo, your branding, and that creates curiosity, and that's always a good thing. And brand recognition is really an important, first step in becoming a known entity or a household name, as they call it. But you can accomplish that by pairing with your internal customers and your external customers to expand your base. And once you've done that, I think other companies will be asking to partner with you as well. And then finally, the last thing that I want to talk about here is brand trust. And if you think about brand trust, it really brings, it's naturally, comes as a part of a good business relationship. And when people that you see work well with you and others, you can certainly generate profit from it. They seem to be a little bit more willing to help out and support your business and become part of creating a healthy, sustainable company. And really, you're only good as the people that you work with and that you help out as well. So, your business is really a worthy investment for them. It's going to be good for your company. I think you also want to create a positive relationship for everyone involved, and partnerships help you meet those needs and meet with new people, in fact, who can help you grow your business when you need it most. That's what we did here at StepUp. We already, as you saw on a few slides, we have already 7 or 8 different strategic partnerships with global organizations that are going to help support our business plan and our model. And partnerships work in many ways to spur that growth and the attention for your business too. And I think that the most important aspect of that is when you are looking to build a strategic relationship, don't rush into it. Make sure that you find the right partner. A successful partnership opens the doors, generates higher levels of profit, hopefully with less pain. But if you rush through that, you could find a different sort of effect. So let's now talk about a framework, if you will, for a partnership that you could look at. And again, I hope that this is somewhat familiar to most of you, because it's really a very basic framework around strategic partnerships. But it's intended to really be the guide to the process, if you will, and I know you all are familiar with process, of forming and maintaining strategic partnerships in your business. So if you think about it, there's foundational elements of strategic partnerships, some of which are defined on the screen. And you can use this as a base when you're determining what needs to be included or thought of before you begin a relationship. But it's important, I think, that you go through this exercise because today a large proportion of strategic partnerships fail. And I think that's because they look good on paper, but rarely they deliver in practice. And unsuccessful partnerships waste time. They can damage relationships. You can lose money, your reputation, absolutely your reputation, and people will leave because of bad partnerships as well. So some of the common pitfalls that we've seen in our 20 years of being in the certification space and consulting is around strategy and preparation. If there's a lack of clarity as to why the partnership was selected as an appropriate vehicle, inadequate assessment of strategic options are going to happen. Or if the wrong partner is selected, there's going to be insufficient time spent on partner identification and selection, which is critical. And I think that the proposed terms of a partnership or a deal don't really bear any relation to the fundamental value of the assets that are often based on the historical terms or the benchmarks. A lot of times we'll see that the KPIs that need to be considered are not specified with sufficient clarity. Roles, objectives, and basically the roles and objectives of people are not clear. And I think that you should also consider there's potential benefits of that around financing or structuring of your account and your tax. So sometimes when companies are putting together relationships, those are some of the things that they don't consider. I guess also around structuring of a partnership, sometimes there's excessive attention to one detail where the resolution of other issues could generate more value or bring the deal closer to the table. A lot of times a partnership lacks definition. It's unclear who owns the partnership. Diane and I actually just kind of ran into that the other day with one of our partners, and we had to make sure that we were clear about who owns the relationship. In this case, it was with the customer, because if you don't, detail and understand that, it can cause confusion, it can cause delays, inefficiency, et cetera. And then finally, around negotiation, I think development in terms, in those terms, kind of stray from wider events or factors that can potentially have a bearing on a deal. The negotiations, sometimes would take too much time. It's a detriment to, in other words, it'll pull you away from other priorities. Some of the decision points and authority levels can be unclear. Really, sometimes you got to consider regulatory issues, like if it's a merger or if there's any tax or accounting. And there's some other things as well around implementation that you should be aware of. But at the end of the day, alliances, they often say are like marriages, where the partners have to understand each other's expectations, be sensitive to each other's changes of mood, and not necessarily be too surprised if the partnership ends in divorce, which sometimes it does. So, okay. So now we're going to talk a little bit about improving compliance. And I think if you're like a lot of the manufacturers that we've worked with over the years, quality compliance can, really sometimes be more of a paper chase than an operational strategy. But, we believe the truth is that by moving beyond the minimum quality requirements, you can reach a higher level of efficiency in the business. And that is going to, you're not going to have been possible with just using manual error-prone solutions. So if given the chance to exceed customer expectations, why just be satisfied with basic requirements? So there's really 5 different kind of steps that we look at for building a quality compliance program or a competitive advantage. And one is to create a single system of record. So really for any compliance or quality management strategy to succeed, I think that especially in today's world, there has to be a digital system of record keeping and driving quality objectives. And that means, consolidating all of your quality document control, your process instructions, policies into a single, cloud-based repository would be my recommendation. Thinking about freeing up quality resources if you can. So in other words, thinking about how much time is wasted going through all of the paper documents that are potentially scattered throughout the business. Not to mention the fact that these documents can become dated very quickly, causing rework and waste. So when you digitize these documents, your organization benefits from, real-time information, freeing up your teams for, from simply collecting data and to now analyzing it and solving real business issues. I think the third part is developing a continual improvement mindset. And if you take into account supplier quality levels and requirements, then create a corrective and a preventative action or a CAPA workflow and create the continuous cycle of improvement. That will allow you to manage complaints from your customers, your process variations, and production inconsistencies as well. And certainly, in today's world, we need to be very data-driven. So, compliance, quality control, manufacturing operations, they need to be aligned to the strategic objectives of the business. And if you use clear performance metrics for quality control and a series of other operational metrics to track quality and collaboration, I think you can help maintain that strategic alliance. And then we talked about it a little bit already, but track and record everything. At a minimum, your QMS program and your software needs to track and report, reductions, cycle time reductions, risk mitigation strategies, manufacturing plant operations. Try not to allow compliance to be a burden. If you can, try and take the opportunity to make compliance in your business a competitive differentiator. That's what we tried to do as well. So now when we get to, that was really kind of what I wanted to talk about the, from a strategic relation perspective. At StepUp, we try to apply all of those principles of quality management, collaboration, organizational excellence, as Diane was mentioning, and all of the activities that we offer to our clients. You can see on the screen here is really just kind of a high-level overview of some of the solutions that we offer for our management system clients. So that's, if you think about it, all of the ISO type-based programs and requirements from consulting, advisory, auditing. We have a full range of management system consulting and training and auditing that covers multiple sectors. So not only just quality, but environmental, food safety, information security, health and safety, as well as crisis readiness and preparedness. And we think that the solutions that we try to offer to market, we want to be a little different. We want to deliver something unique for the market. And as Diane said, that's one of the reasons that we have our contractor model. I wanted to touch on that, Diane, but if you remember when everybody became subjected to COVID, everybody who had a model of full-time resources, as soon as COVID hit and plants shut down and no visitor policies started happening, everybody had to switch their model right away. And a lot of auditors and consultants who were full-time at companies were terminated because they just weren't allowed to leave their houses. So having a model that is a contractor based allows the flexibility with our offering to market and allows us to align our strategy with the resources and management systems team that we have in place. It gives us the opportunity to build our strength up as well and help our companies really try and manage risk in the business and improvement levels at any opportunity, and especially during the uncertainties of COVID. I think our goal is to help educate and empower people through customized programs. We don't just want to, go to market with what everybody else is doing. We want to go above and beyond where the market is and really work with our customers to try and anticipate their needs and just go that extra mile. This is, again, not as relevant here, but this is really around food safety. We kind of develop our auditing programs into sort of three different buckets, if you will. One is like site level auditing, and that's where we have a wide range of services across the programs that I just mentioned. But these are, seasoned professionals with in-depth knowledge that are actually there conducting audits of a customer's own location, similar to what everybody on the phone has to go through. We also work with companies doing supplier audits to try and minimize risk and protect brand for companies. And then, of course, as you all know, you have to conduct internal audits against your own system. Sometimes those are also referred to as first-party audits. But really, we have seen a large uptick over the last year and a half of us being requested to support our customers doing their internal audits, because COVID's had such a dramatic effect on the industry and the resources specifically. So just finally here, I'll just, just for a minute, we also work with companies across multiple needs for developing training programs or curriculum for them. So really, whether any of the needs that you may have are site specific or across your operation, we work with our customers to sort of design and facilitate what we call a blended learning model. So it could be everybody from, site level employees to executive leadership, to even your suppliers. But that, I think, is really what I wanted to get to today. So, Diane, I'm just going to actually pass it back to you here for a minute, where, you can just quickly talk a little bit about our approach around this, and then we can jump into the Q&A with Deb. But thank you, everyone, for listening. And yeah, we look forward to Q&A. So over to you, Diane. Oh, you're on mute, Diane.
Classic mistake. So normally Cherene would be the one that would take you through this, but we're preserving her voice, and she's a bit squeaky sounding at the moment. So I will do my best to cover for you, Cherene, here. But yeah, I mean, our value-added approach, and really, we start off by really assessing a client's needs, and we listen. And we don't assume, we listen. And what are your challenges? What can we do to support you? And we take that and we work together to pair up a member of our consulting and advisory team, or it could be an instructor, because perhaps they've been asked by headquarters to, all of a sudden, you need to be ISO 14001 certified. And everybody goes, scramble. So perhaps it's education that they need first. And I always say, with anything we're doing, first of all, understand what you're doing. So get educated. And so then you can make intelligent decisions, as opposed to being totally dependent on somebody. And I think a lot of times people think, oh, consultants, we can do it ourselves. We don't need any help. But really, it's a partnership, as I said, because it's a partnership with our clients as well. Because, if they're educated and understand the needs, we work together to help them achieve their objectives. And, we can save them so many hours and, labor intensive, and, the cost of perhaps implementing a new system. So it's very important that we understand what a client's looking for. They may have, as Paul mentioned, through COVID, there was a lot of staff shortages, not just that they let people go, but all of a sudden business is getting back to normal and they don't have the staff, so they're saying, how do we do this? Like, how do we actually meet our customers' demands? So it could be, anything in that range. And so what we do is we listen, and then we work together as a team of three to offer suggestions to our clients, offer support, and then we put Cherene to work to match up the client's needs and expectations with our consultants and advisors and instructors. And sometimes, Cherene, you have to go out to market to source a new resource, because we always get requests, and sometimes I'll think, gosh, what is that? So you have to educate. We have to educate ourselves that that's a benefit of having, contract resources, because we don't need to know it all. They do. There's experts in the field that we will source and match up with the client. And I said, it's important from a technical and practitioner perspective, but also very important is cultural fit. So one of the first things we do is, once we're confident that we have the right person, we'll set up a call with our client and let the consultant, advisor, instructor talk to the client, understand the needs more fully, and really come back with their approach and how they would manage that. And it's so successful. So when that person comes in their front doors, they're already very comfortable with the relationship, and it's really and truly going to help them. And the model works incredibly well. We we project manage it all the time. So the client is always has us to call, and we make sure that they know that. So we're actively engaged throughout the entire project. And what that does for us is give us repeat business. They'll say, oh, could you also help us with this and that? Because they know we're not there to just give them an invoice. We're there to truly help them. So that model is, our governance, and we seem to have had great success with that.
Definitely. That's it. That's exactly right. I mean, really kind of supports the message of strategic relationships and partnerships. We don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk, and we do that with our advisors and our trainers and our auditors, because they're the face of the company. And in this case, when we're looking at a partnership, they need to be the experts. Diane's exactly right. I've been in this, 20 years, and I'm still learning something new every day, and I still don't consider myself to be an expert. A lot of the people with a lot more technical expertise than me are the ones that are going to actually go in there and do the real value. Our job is to bring the relationships together so that it's mutually beneficial for both groups. But yeah, no, I think that's it. So hopefully that was what you were looking for today, Deb. And, again, we really appreciate it, and we'll look forward to questions.
It's interesting. I know you guys for some time, and I've even interviewed you, but now I really have a depth of understanding. I mean, I know as a quality professional, you get these requirements that are cascaded, and you look around the room and said, on top of everything else, how am I going to do that? I know I have felt the pain. But what I really like about what you do, and I was going to ask you, what makes you different from everybody else? But I think you articulated it quite well in that you become whatever your customer needs, because everybody is unique. Hey, anybody can implement 14,001, but I got an itsy bitsy time frame to do it, and it's the end of the year and everything else. Or, oh boy, I just don't know where to start. And so you talked about strategic partnerships with the people that you curate, that you trust, but you also become a strategic partner with a potential client because you really listen versus, here's my package. And then, okay, I need some education and training. I need some certification. I need some people to write some procedures over here. We got to duct tape that together sometimes. And that's hard. And so I just really value that. I don't think there's really many people that do exactly what you do. You become a one-stop shop for whatever it is we need you to be when it comes to our compliance. Do I have that right?
It's exactly 100%. Yeah, I mean, like even today when I was trying my darndest to make any part that we were talking about not to be salesy in any way. I really didn't want that. I wanted it to come across more as knowledge and education. And I think that's a good way of looking at it. We are what our customers need us to be, and we will build our strategic relationships accordingly based on those needs. So yeah. Great way
there's
to look at it.
nothing better than having a customer here, but I trust you being the voice of your customers. So it all makes sense. Hey, I'd love to go to you to help solve any and all of my needs when I need it and maybe in the future. But I would love to know a little bit about a customer that did come to you and said, eek, like you said, and what was the ultimate impact? Because I just want to understand, what was it that they had a challenge? What was the challenge? And what kinds of services did you provide them? And what was the impact on the other side of that experience? Just so people who are going through those moments might know, yeah, I see how you can help people.
I'd like to share, and this was something that happened fairly early on in our business, and it really was a true test to us to say, hey, can we actually, walk the talk? And it was a very interesting opportunity for us. And what this was for a very large contract food manufacturer. So they would make cookies and products for large retailers and major brands that I can't obviously share that with you, but we would all know and love and recognize. And they had, on a lot of their food products, they had claims that they used sustainable palm oil. So I don't know if, and I won't bore you about the ins and outs of sustainable palm oil, better known as RSPO, but it's something that was at risk of being, over farmed, and it was put in place to make sure that there was sustainable practices, so that the gathering of the oil, would not run out, basically. So this was a claim on a lot of their food products. And what happened was they had a director of sustainability, and she left. And she said, that's it, I'm out, I've got a better job, I'm off. And it was passed on to other people in the organization who went, what is RSPO? Like, what is that? We know nothing about it. Help! We have an audit in 3 weeks. And the rules of RSPO is if you're not certified, you can't make the claim. So here's a contract manufacturer saying, this is our biggest client here. This is our biggest client, and it's one of their leading brands. We cannot be uncertified. We've got to do this. Can you come in and help us? So the first thing we did, as I just mentioned, was Cherene and Paul and I worked together, and we found a leading expert in sustainable palm oil. And I will tell you that it's not a common field. It's not like somebody who says, oh, well, do you know ISO 9000? Or, this is something, it's a specialized field. We found the expert, matched them up with the client. Client loved her. It was a lady, loved her. And they said, okay, we have 3 weeks and we know nothing. So the first thing she did was she went and did a gap analysis and say, okay, well, calm down. First of all, you've got to have something. You're already certified. So let's calm you down. Let's do a gap, find out what's in place. And she did that. And then she says, I'm going to educate you. So she put on some training sessions for all the, the executives of the team and the people who were now responsible for making sure that their certification was maintained. So she did that. Then she did the internal audits, and she kind of did a nip and a tuck on some processes and procedures that needed some updating. And so, and it was like full on. I mean, she was there, full time, working around the clock with them. And the client was amazing. I mean, they were just so responsive and so appreciative of the help. And of course, came audit day, and that was a big test. So our advisors went through, she was there during the audit. It was 3-day audit. And by the way, it wasn't just one site. I didn't mention that. How many sites was Cherene? But six of their locations, six of their bakeries.
Seven sites,
yeah. So it was not just a single, it was, and large facilities. So she was there during the audit as a support to the client, not to answer for the client, but just to make sure that they were comfortable. And at the end of the audit, they got no problem. They had one minor non-conformist, which was incredible. I mean, she's just a magician. But that's the type of people that we have. So the client, you can imagine, like, huge relief, big, think, oh, thank goodness, we can't even imagine what would have happened had we failed this audit. And passed with flying colors, one minor non-conformance. And of course, they kept their client happy, thank goodness. And we have repeat business. They continually call us. Well, and the business opportunities for that client just continues to grow. And now we're working with 3 of their other divisions. They're a very large organization, 3 other divisions, and they've become one of our major clients. And so that was a test very early on in our business to say, hey, does our model really work? And it does. And it was an incredibly happy client. Their client, well, I don't think they actually knew what was going on, but they were happy. And of course, we have, continued business with them. So that's just one of the case studies. It's a little one, but it's one of my favorites.
Diane, I know another one that I'll just quickly reference, but this is when we were all still together, not with StepUp, but with our previous employer, where we were working. This is back probably about 12 years ago now, when something called GFSI, think of ISO 9001, but for food, and all of the GFSI standards had just started It was back when 9000, it was back similar to when 9001 became a big global standard. And we had to go out and we had a meeting with one customer who was looking for us to help their suppliers become certified to this new global standard. And the customer was Loblaws in Canada. And the very first customer that we got was Loblaw, who said, here's 2,500 vendors. Thanks for the help. And it's like, I remember Diane saying, you know, that's great, but next time maybe start a little smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Amazing. And definitely you've illustrated some real pain points that quality leaders have been faced with. I mean, we are essentially miracle workers, but sometimes we need just a little bit of extra help. So I just want to switch it up a little bit because I'm curious, because obviously it's obvious to us you provide tremendous value. You become whatever your client needs you to be. You'll take almost any problem and try to find a solution. Cherene, that's your area of expertise. But my question is, if we want to be a little bit more proactive, not reactive, we realize we've got an initiative rolling down, multi-plant or an acquisition or what have you, and somebody wants to kick off the conversation. They're sitting in the room, they realize I don't have all the capability or capacity myself. I need to start vocalizing and saying, I need help. We need help in order to be successful and ultimately satisfy our customers. What are some tips that you can provide to the quality professional to start a conversation with their leadership that speaks to business, not just, oh, we got to get through this certification or we got to get everybody trained? Because I think we sometimes miss the language to initiate a conversation for expertise and resource planning to do the valuable work that we do. So what are some examples of how to start that conversation? I think that would be very valuable for our listeners.
Oh, take that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are really a lot of different things that you can do. It's a really good question. You know, I heard at a conference a few weeks ago that the, you know, vast majority of CEOs, actually 90% of them today, think that the organization has gone through and facing, you know, major disruptive challenges due to lack of resources, digital technologies. But yet 70% of them also admit that their organization doesn't have the skills to adapt to those changes. So to me, I think it's clear that employees need to have the opportunity to, you know, build new skills, enhance existing ones. And I think that's really where sort of our holistic approach around learning comes in. And, you know, if you don't have the budget or spend, and if you're not doing that appropriately on learning initiatives, I think that can actually hurt the business. You know, when you're talking about, you know, a good compliance program, or you're talking about how you're going to bring that to senior leadership, this again is not a new challenge. This has always been from the very beginning, you know, getting senior leadership buy-in. And I think that a good compliance program is one that's, you know, aligned strategically to the objectives of the business. And an effective compliance program is one that's really aligned to the overall objectives and strategy. And I think that the compliance function is really an essential part of that decision making, and thus it should be part of the budget process. So if you're looking at trying to, you know, enforce compliance for your companies, help them understand that, you know, without compliance or with a good compliance program, you can prevent and detect violations from a regulatory perspective. That protects your organizations from, you know, countless fines and lawsuits. Right now in the US, as an example, the average cost of a recall is $10 million. So I think that the, you know, compliance process should be ongoing. And if organizations establish a program that, you know, accurately govern the compliance process over time, I think that they're going to find themselves in a situation where management is going to want to support them as opposed to hinder them. That's my point there.
You know, what's really helpful for that, again, just hearing you say that helps me even formulate why. Sometimes we just say, if it's not broken, let's not fix it. And sometimes we have to be the messenger of the risk associated with not being compliant, not having the competency within the organization to absolutely be sure our systems are working as expected. The procedures work, people understand why we do, and you can sleep at night knowing the systems are working as expected. If you put it in the context of, and what if things don't work as expected, the financial impact, that may be a great way to say, can we have a meeting on it? And that may be
Right.
one way a quality professional could say, can we bring that up at the next leadership meeting? I think we need to start planning for that now. So
Exactly.
thank you for that
Mhm.
context.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so I'm just going to open it up real quickly. I always have a lot of questions, but we do have a few people who have attended. Any comments, reactions to some of these insights? And maybe think about your situation, if there are any initiatives or crises that you have to deal with. You've got some experts here. Does anybody have any questions or comments? If not, I'm going to keep going. So I just want to ask you something, because what you do is really valuable. For me, it's a one-stop shop. I'm grateful you did this, because now I have a deeper understanding of, as I go around the world or with clients, you could be a resource for me. You could be a strategic partnership for me. But if for some reason there's somebody here that is not able to enlist your services, they're faced with a challenge. They have to train people, they have to get ready for an audit, they have to do something that's absolutely heroic. What are some things that you would advise them, like in case you brought your advisors to them, on how to prepare for a certification or something like that? What can they do now to get a better result? How would you advise them? Because again, it's lonely for that quality professional, maybe in a small and medium-sized company. If we can't enlist your services, what have you seen work well in terms of developing a really strong compliance program?
I mean, Diane, I can kind of start that, and then I think you just, feel free to jump in. But I think there's several things, Deb. One is engage in a annual risk assessment or a risk analysis of the business. And I think that by doing that and incorporating, a risk assessment into the business, it's going to allow you to improve your compliance program and, understand some of the threats that are facing the business. You're probably already doing this, but make sure to look at updating your policies annually. As we know, for quality systems like 9001, document control is paramount to the standard and your success. And for the compliance part of the program, you need the documentation of your processes and procedures as well, which should be reviewed and updated annually. Another thing to consider is what I call MMA, and no, it's not mixed martial arts, but continuously monitor your accountability. So all industry, standards and regulatory requirements focus on the importance of continuously improving and monitoring your networks and your systems. You think cyber criminals that are out there today are continuously updating their threat technology and methodologies and tactics. So mitigating controls that you're setting forth in your policies is critical, and it may not be adequate any longer. So make sure you're looking at that. There's some additional things like reviewing, some of the mitigating controls. I just talked about that, but engaging the company in continuous remediation and response as new threats are emerging in your business. You need to, respond and remediate those. And then again, a fundamental part of quality system is the continuous improvement of your documentation. And documentation really helps provide, and I know a lot of people think, documentation, it's so much, but really it provides assurance over your compliance and internal controls and regulatory requirements that customers are looking for. So if you have a documented program in place, that helps, take a look at the different risk aspects of the business and make sure that you have a good governance program in place. I think that's it. I mean, I think that's really all I wanted to say. There's certainly some steps that you can take, but those are kind of the ones I hear.
Yeah, very actionable. Go ahead, please.
No,
Yeah.
I was just going to add a little bit to that, Paul, in that, we see this, and when we worked in certification bodies, we saw it all the time, actually,
Mhm.
more so. And it's really something that, and it's one of the fundamentals of quality management is help your managers make good decisions. And how do we do that? You know, I was a senior executive for many, many years. And if somebody came to me with, you know, moaning and groaning and, you know, well, this, you know, the world's going to fall apart if we don't do such and such and such, I'd have no time for that person. They come to me with facts and why do the risk assessment, as Paul says. What are the risks to the business? What will the impact be to me? And more importantly, as a senior executive, the bottom line. And always take it back to that and say, well, our customers, you know, it'll impact our customers. Here's the customer's feedback, the input. What would happen if this manufacturer had said to their leading client, I'm really sorry, you're going to have to take this claim off your packaging? It would have been disastrous. So, but you can't go with just, oh, woe is me, you know, it's really get facts, do measurements, as Paul was saying, your process and procedures, make sure you've got good objectives and you're measuring the results against the objectives, and take the facts to the management team to get their support. Because once you have management buy-in, you're set. You will get, you know, they will all of a sudden say, well, okay, you know, maybe you could go and train 3 or 4 internal auditors to help you out through this audit and things like that. But if they don't understand what the risk is to the business and the financial impact, ultimately at the end of the day, you won't get their buy-in. So to me, as having been one of these people who was probably, you know, oh, we're going to have to go talk to her and explain this. Come to me with facts and figures and your solution. What's the solution to it? Don't just come to me with your problem. And I think you'll start to see a turnaround in the senior management when they start to see the results of a true good quality management system or environmental management system. And it's not just about the certificate on the wall. Quite honestly, who cares, right? It's really, what can I do as an executive? What can I do to improve my business and keep my customers?
Yeah,
And the
and I think,
certificate may be one little part of it. Yeah, you ought to
right.
be certified. Okay, but that's you know, when the early days of ISO 9000, that's what it was about. Oh, we're doing this because of ISO. We have to do this because of ISO. No, no, you don't. You do it because it's a benefit to your organization. It's just turning that mindset around. And that would be my recommendation.
I mean, I'm excited what you share, and ultimately it takes the perception of a quality leader and they become a strategic business partner because we're wired to see risk. And yes, your CFO might see risk, your supply chain manager will see risk, but a quality leader can be perceived as also a strategic partner to the C-suite because of our ability to qualify and quantify the risk, do a SWOT assessment. We're good with data. We just need to amplify it a little bit with what is the impact and how much. And we can, even if it's met with dissension, we can at least start having conversations and driving decisions. And it could be you get the resources you need or the resources to go external and have additional strategic partners in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Deb, I think, you know, Deb, just for me to kind of, you know, bring this full circle and wrap this up, it really, you know, what's the purpose of a compliance program in the first place? It's to protect your business, right? It's as simple as that. But if you think about it, the return on investment for leadership in a company could be significant. You know, it can help you dramatically, you know, avoid waste in the business. It can help you identify and prevent fraud that is certainly out there, or the abuse in the supply chain. You know, even discrimination, really, you know, other practices that can disrupt, you know, operations and put your company at risk. And I think, you know, if I leave you with anything, it's just, you know, always encourage open communication and trust in the business and with your teams. You know, compliance should not ever be driven by, you know, fear and intimidation. Communicate with your employees in a way that promotes a, you know, positive attitude toward compliance, and frequently discuss the risks that are involved and the potential impact on the organization. I think if you do that and you wake up every day thinking that, you know, you'll put yourself and your company in a better position.
Beautifully said. I just want to say thank you, Diane, Paul, Cherene, for your insight, your expertise and contribution. from anybody that's attending, any last comments, but on behalf of ASQ, I simply want to say thank you. Any other questions that we may have from our audience? I think it's late tonight. So I just personally want to, on behalf of everybody, say thank you to all of you. I wish you continued success. I will be back in touch with you. But I just want to say thank you. And anybody who is here, if they want to learn more, again, we'll have the recording if you want to look at it again. And obviously we'll have the resources and ways to get a hold of them. So thank you again for your time. And we sincerely appreciate it from ASQ. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
our pleasure, Deb. Thank you, everyone. Bye.